What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about RetroRealms Halloween, as well as Ash vs. the Evil Dead. A new side-scrolling game comes out at the time you guys are seeing this review. Game is already out. They actually gave me a review code for this game. Greatly appreciate it. And so I was able to check the thing out, and want to give you guys my impressions on it. Now, this one's a tough one because I actually really love the idea. And I think, like, as games, they're actually pretty darn solid. I'll obviously go into some of the strengths and weaknesses and stuff, but in terms of, like, okay, quick, like, 30-second pitch, right, should you get it or not, the issue to me is the price. These games they're very similar to each other, and the actual quantity that is here is extremely light. And that's okay depending on how high the quality is, right? Sometimes quality can do more than the quantity, but these games are $25 each, and then if you buy the collection where both of them are together, it's $50. $50 for a game that is really not all that long. It has some replayability, but it's also got some repetition attached that I'll go over in this video. So, look, always make your own decision, right? I'm going to tell you how I feel. I'm going to pitch it to you, and then you guys make the decisions based off how you feel. But for me, it is a tough sell for $50. If this thing was half the price or something along those lines, I think it would be much, much more worth it, okay? For what it's worth, I guess, right? Let me jump into these games, though. So basically what happens is you start the game, you're in kind of this mini arcade, very small. Actually, I don't know if you would even classify it as an arcade, and you see two machines, and one of them is Halloween, and one of them is Ash versus the Evil Dead. Now, these are the separate games, right? So you can go into them, and you can play them. Now, there's 5 worlds in each, and there's 2 levels per world, right? So there's 10 individual levels. Now, I actually think in terms of the detail and the visuals, I really like it. Again, these games are actually pretty darn solid. Now, they're a little like, they feel kind of heavy, like the characters. Now, like Michael Myers, obviously, he's a heavier guy. He's a much like sturdier build. He is going to move a little bit slower. It's slower than most side-scrolling games I like to play. I like the roguelike ones, like Prince of Persia or Dead Cells is probably my favorite one of all time, right? Castlevania, of course, comes to mind. And you're normally faster in those games. So that took some getting used to. But, you know, every game's unique and every game's different. And I wanted to give this game, obviously, a try. And you go through, and I think what is interesting about it, and in terms of a little bit of replayability, is you're not locked into one character. You can actually play either of these games as the other. So I actually played the Ash versus Evil Dead. I first started as Ash, and I thought, you know what? Let me throw in Michael Myers. So I started a new game, and you play the whole thing as Michael Myers. Now, the only thing that changes is actually kind of the dialogue. So you'll start off talking, right, to somebody else, and as the game goes, you'll fight bosses and stuff. So the dialogue that you get is different depending on which character you choose. If you do the Halloween one with Michael Myers, obviously he doesn't talk, right? So like a lot of the responses are literally nothing. Versus if you go in with a Laurie Strode, right? Then she's actually going to talk and have these kind of unique conversations. So I will say there's a little bit of replayability there, but nothing else changes. The game is exactly the same, down to where the enemies are, down to where the collectibles are, although they are different collectibles based off which character you're playing, okay? But it's a mix and match type game. So you can go through the entire Halloween game as Ash. You can go through the whole Ash versus Evil Dead game as Michael Myers. And again, like for me, it's kind of almost like that illusion of replayability. Because I do think, there is replayability in the sense of you're trying to get the best score. There is replayability in the sense of there's some collectibles, throughout the level. And those collectibles will actually, at the end of the level, they'll go towards points that let you buy things, buy upgrades before you go into the next level, right? So right there are reasons to kind of replay, beat your old score, just get more powerful, right, overall. But nothing else changes. It is still the same old thing. And in terms of the game itself, like what you're actually doing, well, you got a little hack and slash action. You got your kind of like sliding, like down X kind of move. For Michael, it's kind of, I don't know if shape shifting is the right word, but like appearing one place versus the next. Like they each have their unique kind of like quirks to them. So like Laurie Strode will do it one way versus Michael Myers versus Ash doing it a different way, right? So it's got that uniqueness, and they all have different weapons, right? So they're attacking enemies differently and somewhat at different speeds, but still kind of, no matter what, a little bit on the slower end, but that is the uniqueness and, again, that repetition or replayability of the game is just, you're going to handle things a little bit different based off who you're playing, but not totally different. And the rest of the game plays as you would imagine one of these games do. Well, you guys have been watching my gameplay this whole time as well, right? Honestly, you kind of decide for yourself. Again, I like the visuals. I think the visual style in this game is extremely cool. I love the music. The music is actually really good. And the general gameplay, again, a little slower than I would have liked. The one thing, because it is overall solid, right? Like, I enjoy kind of planning out the attacks and like slashing enemies and stuff and having them blow up. I actually also like the alternate world. I think that's a really cool, I'm going to call it gimmick, but it's not like a negative thing, right? But it is. The gimmick of this game is you can transport the world into like the other version, and you need to do this sometimes to get to some collectibles. But when you do that, you're opening up new paths, but you're also adding in like so many more enemies, and those enemies are more powerful, and those enemies come back to life. So, and this happens with either game and either character. I think it's a cool mechanic for sure. What kind of frustrates me about it is, again, the game's not really meant for like 1,000 enemies on the screen, right? If there's a lot of enemies, it gets overwhelming. Your character, like, yes, Michael Myers is so freaking big, so like, his hit radius is much bigger than anybody else, but like the amount of times you'll take hits, and I want to get into that in a second, that is really highlighted when you go into that world, because there's like double, if not triple, the enemies, so you're having to pay attention to them a little bit more. Now, my main gripe with the actual gameplay is actually very specific, and I thought, you know what, I'll say it in the video. Maybe it'll mean something to some people, maybe it won't to others. I would say the recovery time, I don't know if that's like the correct definition. I like these games, but I don't play like 1,000 of them, so my knowledge of like the wording is probably going to be off. When you get hit, and when enemies get hit, right, like a boss, and they'll flash, and it's that, time that you can't hurt them a second time. It is so broken, I believe, in this game that it's a joke, because the hitboxes are pretty bad. And I would say even times where there's like a aerial attack, when you're in the air and you're going down, like a downward attack, 9 out of 10 times I mess it up. I don't know if it's me or I don't know if it's the game, but most times when I'm jumping and I'm trying to take out somebody below me, I'll do the move, it won't hit them, and then I'll land on them and I'll take the hit. So that's one thing. But when you take hits, you can take a hit, honestly, maybe 2 to 3 seconds after. The time that you're flashing where an enemy cannot hit you twice in a row is so small, it infuriates me. It is easily the worst part of this game. Then when you do it on a boss, the boss seemingly has double the time. The boss will hit you 2 times in 3 seconds, but if you want to hit the boss, good luck, because you'll hit it once, they'll flash, and you won't be able to hit them again for maybe 3, 4, 5 seconds. But for you, it's like 1 or 2 seconds, right? It's nitty gritty. It might not matter to you, but in a game where there are a lot of enemies, you do move slower. The hitboxes are important, right? Like, I'm trying to like paint the scene of why this actually infuriates me. It's important for a game like this, I truly believe, and especially when you go into that other world and there's triple the enemies. It's really frustrating when you get hit, and like a lot of games will let you kind of like cheat at it, right? Like, you get hit, you can maybe like jump over an enemy, take another hit, but it won't actually hurt you, and move on because you're still in that like recovery thing. This game does not allow that, right? So you get hit, you're going to get hit again. Like, blink your eyes and you're going to get hit a second time. And that just really, it sours an okay amount of this game because it happens so much, at least to me. Okay, so that would be, in my opinion, the biggest thing. As a whole, I think they're fine games. I really do. I think these are solid games that are like worth being in this genre. I think it's a really cool idea. Like pitching the idea, hey, you want another look, is it the game that everybody wants from like a Halloween or Ash vs. the Evil Dead? Probably not. But is it like welcomed, I would say, in like the collection? Yeah, I think these are good games to kind of branch out and try. Like, I give them an A for effort, even though I just don't understand that saying. Even from a young age, I don't get it. I give them an A for effort. I really, really do. But in terms of what is actually there, in my opinion, there's not enough for that price. And also, at times it's frustrating. So to end this, look, I've said this 1,000 times on the channel. I really think it's become like a main staple of me and of podcasts now. For me, it's always quality over quantity. Now, you could be saying, well, Alex, you're talking about the length and the price, right? I would say I could play a 4 or 5 hour game that's charged high, right? If those 4 or 5 hours are elite. That's always been what I've said. The issue with this game is, do I mind spending $50 for a game that's really only going to I mean, this game, if you go through it, yes, you can replay and all that jazz, but this is only like a 3, 4, 5 hour game, right? So, okay, is $50 worth 5, 6 hours? It might be, depending on the quality. The quality, it's not elite. It's not great. It's fine. It's solid. But is it like incredible that you need to, in my opinion, overspend to get it, right? And that answer to me is no. Now, that's just my opinion, right? I actually think, if this game is on sale, or if you only get one of them, maybe you buy one $25 right now, maybe next year you buy the second game for Halloween next year, maybe that's more worth it, right? Maybe you can get more out of it than I can. But that's, I guess, what I would overall say. And it sucks. Like, actually, it's I wanted to play this game. I wanted to like it. Again, they gave me a review code, and I was really grateful for that. And it's a fine game. It's definitely a fine game. It's just, man, like the price is kind of crazy looking at it and saying $50 for this. That's a lot, and it's not a perfect, side scroller. It's a welcome addition into it, and it's something a little bit unique. And I really like the visuals, and it pops and it stands out, and the music's really good, but it's not an amazing game in this genre, right? And they're charging more than Dead Cells, more than Prince of Persia, more than Castlevania. You can get all of these games, even some of the newer ones, you can get them for cheaper than this, right? So like that's a tough sell for me. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.